The Harvester Scythe is a brand new melee weapon. I wonder if it's any good. Oh, it's good. Oh, it's real good. How's it going, everyone? Doc here with Eyes Wide Shot Gaming, and today we are going to break down our build for the Harvester Scythe that unleashes over 5,000 DPS. Stick around. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date on all of your Remnant 2 news, info, builds, and breakdowns, as well as many other games. Speed is strength. So just how the Flash is better than Superman, this build is better than stacking sheer damage. Our primary archetype with this build is Challenger. Our prime perk, Die Hard, will, unlike John McClane, give us another life when going down, regenerating us to 100% max health. For our damage perk, Close Quarters, we are granted a 35% increase to all damage to enemies within 10 meters, as well as an increase to critical chance by 5%. And since this is a melee build, we will be up close and personal with the enemies. For the skill with this archetype, we have Juggernaut. This will make us nearly unstoppable, gaining 3 stacks of Bulwark, as well as a 15% increase to movement speed, and more importantly, melee speed, as well as reduced stamina cost. On top of it all, we also get a nice 50% increase to our melee damage, lasting almost 33 seconds. Our secondary archetype is Alchemist. Aside from the damage perk Liquid Courage, which grants a 25% increase to all damage and 5% critical chance, there aren't any other perks we can really call home about that enhance this build. But the reason for this archetype is the skill associated with it, the Vile Frenzy Dust. This will create a mysterious vapor cloud for 13 seconds, which increases our melee speed by 20%, as well as our movement speed by 15%, lasting just under 20 seconds. Let's dive into our amulets and rings to put it all together. Our amulet is Downward Spiral. We get a nice 15% increase to melee speed, as well as for every 10% of our health missing, we gain 5% melee damage, a maximum of 25% at half health. The first ring continues our pursuit of the Speed Force with Brawler's Pride. This increases our melee speed by another 15% and melee critical chance by 5%. Next ring up is the Fey Warrior Ring. This gives us a static boost of 15% increase to our melee damage. For survivability, we opted our third ring to be Dying Ember. We gain 6% of our base melee damage dealt as a lifesteal, allowing us to stay in the fight longer without having to worry about our health dropping. And our last ring is the Burden of the Mason. We decrease our dodge weight threshold by 25 and increase our melee damage by 35% of our total damage reduction. This is why when engaging an aberration or boss, we want to make sure we have our bark extract concoction to increase our armor by 30. We have our archetypes and jewelry. Let's get into the weapons, starting with our secondary, the Corrupted Rune Pistol. Our main reason for it is the mod it has attached to it called Death Brand. This will apply a Death Brand to all non-allies within 25 meters and increase incoming damage to them by 10%, giving us an additional buff to our melee damage. With it, the mutator we equip is Harmonizer, not for the additional 20% mod damage, but the level 10 perk, which generates 25% additional mod power for Stowed Weapon. Speaking of our Stowed Weapon, our primary weapon in this build is the Monolith. Again, we use this ranged weapon in the same way as the Rune Pistol. We want to use the mod to enhance our melee damage as well as continuously heal us. The mod Sandstorm will create a 5-meter swirling storm of sand that centers itself on an enemy and deals elemental damage. These sandstorm hits apply exposed, which allow the target to receive an additional 15% damage from all sources. The mutator with this weapon is Spirit Healer. It will regenerate 2% health over 10 seconds for every 50 mod power spent, and at level 10, it will heal allies within 15 meters for 50% of their primary effect. Finally, we get to the melee weapon. our Harvester Scythe. The damage sits at a comfortable 195, and its mod, Phantom Blade, allows us to release a phantom trail behind a host weapon when releasing a charged melee attack. Each hit of the Phantom Blade increases melee attack speed and melee charge speed by 6% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. With it, our mutator is Edgelord. It will further increase melee charge speed by 35% and melee attack speed by 15%, as well as at level 10, we have another 3% lifesteal from base charged melee damage. For our Relic Heart, we are using Profane Heart for its innate 3% lifesteal bonus, giving us that much more lifesteal. On the left-hand side, you can see our stats sitting at 154 health, 149.5 stamina, and 316.2 armor. On the right, our traits, main focus being on Fortify, Barkskin, and Siphoner. Now we do have 9 extra trait points that we had since the game came out that we decided to just dump into Revivalist. For our Fragments, we have on melee damage, total melee speed, and melee critical chance. The prism we are using isn't set for damage, but this is the best we've got. Let's take a quick look at how this build works in the Ward. We activate our Corrupted Rune Pistol, as well as both skills, and go to town with 5 charged attacks back to back, followed up by unleashing a flurry of strikes at an incredible speed, giving us an average of 5,000 DPS. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and until next time, so long.